See us? We were made from the same stuff, beyond races and classes. One day we'll all dance and raise glasses. I'll drink to that. See, we are one. There's no them, only us.
Here in these things, I'm asking questions. What is the mood of the bar? Warm practicals, because I'm seeing this film here, which is an Alt-J video, and it's mostly practically lit, either by practicals in the shot here, or practicals above the frame, which are here, hitting this. And here I'm saying to Valentin, please circle the ones you like. My job as a DP is to present options in many ways. I can't just say, I think this is the one way we can do it. And here, for that reason, I'm saying perhaps it's colder or it's warmer, and I'm not sure what's wanted. Here again, looking at practicals, you can see all my questions I'm asking here. This is some stuff from La La Land, which is something I always like referencing. This is from True Detective Series 2. So, and then here I'm linking the scenes that they can go and watch with clickable things. So it's all really clear for people to go see things how they're actually moving in motion, because stills never tell the real story of how a film's going to look in motion. Shot planning is pretty extensive for the bodega.
Only love. Oh, and clean cups. This doesn't have to be a zero-sum game where some lose and some gain. I want to feel it all.
Shot planning is pretty extensive for the bodega, because we're doing, for example, this transition here, moving into that. It's not so complicated camera-wise. We ended up shooting a mixture of Steadicam and handheld, so we're also talking about that, with what support system, whether that's handheld or body, or on a dolly, or is it Steadicam, is it a crane? And for this, we thought that a mixture of handheld to be intimate and a sort of wider lens, so you can feel close, what you call wide and close. So you feel that the lens is close to the person, and you can feel the sense of their face getting bigger and smaller much faster than if you're on a longer lens and you're further away. Where if you move, it's nothing really changing. Also, I find with the wider lenses that they're a bit more stabilized for handheld. So here for the bar scenes, the bodega rather, we look at a wide. It's probably the best way to understand how we were planning this. So for example, this is a film that's being made in a foreign country in which I don't live. So the remote working aspect is working off of photographs and people that are on the ground taking those photographs. A director might go ahead of the DP to the country to scout, the director scout of the locations. You see the difference between something like this and this. This is taken in Blue Hour. So with something like this, we're planning extensively about the art department of this scene. You can see they've changed the awning above. They've changed stuff. They changed it from Russian to American. It was meant to be set in New York. That was the vibe. So we're talking about all these things. You see we've installed these practicals here, which are astereotubes in each window. And we decided that we wouldn't have them in every window, so it sort of had this impression of being a bit more run down, like a bit more imperfect, rather than having a tube in every single window. And we're also talking about the mood. I'm sending photos like this. This smoky shot from Seven, I think, is here, right? And so we're making sure we only have haze, but we have something that's more like a smoke machine. So it's like a sewer in New York. We also talked about having a wet down, which is the water you see here. They've got to bring a fire truck to make water on the ground here. And the reason you're using the wet down is to give this impression of like just more texture to the shot. If you, for example, look at this recce photo, it's interesting, but it's not as interesting as having the water on the ground. On this kind of project, on any project, you're working first with your references, which we've discussed. So we're talking about New York smoke. We're talking about wet down, so the lights are reflected and it gives more depth to your scene. We're talking about practical awnings and things like practicals in the shop, fluorescence, and then these are references from BMW, shot by Khalid Motaseb. This is from the same Alt-J film, that blue backlight, and this is from Blade Runner 2049. This is from La La Land. I love the 18K that's sort of hung above the trees there, and then the one that's coming from here that's sort of separating the scene so well. I think it's really important to have deep depth in your night scenes, and this is why I suggested these kind of things. This is from First Man, also shot by Linus Sandgren, and you see these rays are just so amazing. It's one of the best night scenes I've ever seen, like ever, I think. Just most beautiful night lighting. Again, Blade Runner they've got lots of practical elements. This is a heavy VFX shot for sure, but yeah, so these are the kind of things I'm suggesting to the director based on all these references we've been looking at here. So I provide this kind of document to everyone. I'm talking to the gaffer about what kind of lights we might put on it. So yeah, also one part of the recce process is that I'll do on every shoot is an extensive testing of every shot and angle, so we can understand and communicate via the shots what we might see and what we might need to hide things and where the directions were coming. So you can see how we've lit this to have that backlight on the hair here, whereas this wouldn't have occurred via this. Then this key light that's on the face here, that's sort of a bit of a rubbish in-between light here, and it's quite all these sharp shadows here, and there's multiples of them. We replaced by frosting the window, which had posters in them, and we're putting a 2K straight into it. So you have this big glow in the eye here that comes from having a light source close and diffused. We then used the neon practical in the window to provide the green blue that's coming from the key side as well. So yeah, there's an extensive prep process, and good luck cutting all of that. So the final scene that we did a lot of prep on is the party scene.
Winter sun, summer rain. See, these differences don't exist, and they never did. Time, space, distance, it's all relative. Think about it.
So I'm getting a shot like this. The party scene, we want it to be very cool and interesting. So I'm getting a lot of lighting references from the Euphoria shots I sent you before. Here are some film things I did in Ralph Lauren. This is a film with Cara Delevingne for Guerlain, I think, or something like that, or Saint Laurent. Talking about whether we would have curtains that have light, the color of the light that's coming through. Here's a film, Grey Goose by Salomon Lighthelm. You can see it here in the references, shot by Stuart Wyckoff. Here's Euphoria. So these are the kind of references we're exchanging about how this party scene might look. So some of these references are from films like the Halsey video made by Anton Tami. This is a To Shang music video. Some night references, some references using the glow, steam for the outside bodega. This is a shot from New York, of course. This is a music video I worked on for years and years, where we used a practical lighting in shot, because I was thinking for the bodega, for the party scene in the film, that we might use a practical installation, a bit like the installations you might see in an artistic installation in a Tate or something like this. This is the Olafur, much referenced Olafur Eliasson's Sun shot. So part of the shot planning process would be imagining things like this. So this is a sketch I drew based on the installation. I thought it was interesting, for example, to have a practical installation rather than lighting you can't see that's coming from a mysterious place above the frame. So then when we got to Ukraine, which is where we shot, I decided to try and test it with a 5K spring bulb, a 5K Chimera here, which is a round globe. But we found that the Chimera wasn't in the best condition, so it wasn't really going to be suitable to have in the middle of the shot. So we're testing things like that. We went to the recce, the room, which is this. These windows were very, very tall. I think the ceiling was a little bit higher. So we decided to go with references like this. And then the rooftop, we didn't plan very much for, again, in terms of lighting, but we certainly did a lot of testing.